Hello to the four wonderful subscribers I have out there. Okay, so social justice in comics. We're gonna cover this one. I'm a big comics fan myself. I've been a reasonably big fan of Marvel comics for quite a while. Just recently restarted collecting. This has been a big topic, especially in a lot of nerd communities and the such. The social justice movement kind of invading comics, as it were. So let's get on with it. One of the big things is the whole idea of diversity being pushed in comics nowadays, particularly by Marvel. They're extremely guilty of it. For the most part, honestly, I don't see the problem with it. I disagree with the reasons why they're doing it, but the way they've done it really isn't too bad for the most part. I mean, there's one particular thing that I'm going to touch on, but let's go down the list. Sam Wilson, formerly the Falcon, as the new Captain America. So what? He's not the first person to ever replace Captain America. It's happened plenty of times before. For a period of time, Captain America Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes went missing, and President Truman actually nominated this man William Naslund to be Captain America for a time, and there's been like 4 different replacements for Captain America, and even more recently, after the Civil War event in the comics, Steve Rogers died. And in respect for a great American hero, Punisher actually took up being Captain America for a brief period of time. Frank Castle actually held the role and was commonly known as Captain Punisher, even though he wasn't officially there. He still kind of changed his costume to be more Captain America-ish and kind of took on the title himself in respect for Steve Rogers. But then he passed it on to Bucky Barnes, who, during Civil War, Steve Rogers had used a cosmic cube to return Bucky's memories to him after they had been taken from him when he was made the Winter Soldier. So Bucky Barnes, remembering who he was, it was found out that Steve Rogers had left specific instructions for Tony Stark Iron Man to have Bucky carry on the mantle of of Captain America. And so when this was found out, Frank Castle, the Punisher, handed over the title to Bucky, and Bucky Barnes was Captain America for quite a while. Eventually, he passed it on to Sam Wilson. They wanted to make an African-American Captain America. It works. He's not the first person that's taken the moniker Captain America other than Steve Rogers. He's a long-time friend of Steve Rogers in the modern day. He's close friends. If any 2 people were ever appropriate to take up the mantle of Steve Rogers, it would be Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson. So I don't see a problem with that. I disagree with the idea of let's do it specifically to have a black Captain America, but I don't see a problem with Sam Wilson being the character they chose, because it works. It works in canon with the Marvel Universe. Okay, another one. Female Thor. A lot of people are on about this because of the whole... The problem with it is how blatantly they're pushing feminist narratives in the actual Thor comics now. Having the female Thor wasn't never really that big of a problem for me. It was the fact that Jane Foster is the female Thor, who was the love interest of Thor Odinson, the original Thor. And so she has a close tie to Thor anyways. And as just the type of good person that Jane Foster is, it's completely not unbelievable that she would be worthy of lifting Mjolnir. She's also not the first person who has taken on the, quote, title of Thor. Because in Marvel Comics, Thor is a title. It's been held by people that were not Thor Odinson, who is the specific character who is the most commonly recognized Thor. But Thor hasn't always been Thor Odinson. He's kind of the original Thor and the main Thor, but not the only one. Beta Ray Bill is one example. He eventually got his own hammer forged at Odin's behest and named Stormbreaker. But he was originally found worthy to wield Mjolnir. He was actually fighting Thor because there was a whole misunderstanding. They both thought the other was a threat when really they were on the same side. But Thor threw his hammer and Bill dodged it. And then Beta Ray Bill actually picked the hammer up and gained the power of Thor. That's what the enchantment on Mjolnir reads. He whoever possesses this hammer, may he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. So by that enchantment, anybody who is worthy can be Thor. It doesn't have to be Thor Odinson. So the fact that Jane Foster is the new Thor, I don't see a problem with that. I see a problem with, once again, them doing it specifically to have a female Thor. Because there are plenty of other female superheroes out there. There's a shit ton of them in Marvel. So it was unnecessary, but I don't have a major problem with it, once again, because of who they chose to take on the role. It's an appropriate choice, especially since I'm not sure. I don't actually follow the comics closely. I don't actually subscribe to the new Thor comics, but I know that Jane Foster has cancer, and that whenever she transforms into Thor, that actually kind of is a major drain on her and is actually shortening her lifespan from the last I heard. So we'll see what developments go on with that. But yeah, again, I don't have a problem with Jane Foster being the new Thor. I have a problem with why they did it. I don't have a problem with how they did it. Those are kind of the two major ones. I mean, there's been things like Kamala Khan, the new Ms. Marvel. She's an American Muslim woman. I don't see a problem with that. I think really the one thing that I wouldn't really call it a problem, but it definitely irked me was the newest bit, and I know you have all heard of it, with the newest Captain America Steve Rogers comic that just recently started within the last month. The first issue came out. But it depicts Steve Rogers as having been an agent of Hydra secretly all along. And it even has the Red Skull go to this group of white supremacists and give this speech that is honestly... It's supposed to sound bad because it's coming from the Red Skull, the creator of Hydra and a known Nazi. But the thing is, if you actually read his speech, it makes a lot of fucking sense. He's talking about how our culture is being eradicated. Western culture is being eradicated by the influx of migrants and refugees that refuse to assimilate. And if you try and speak out against it, you're labeled a bigot. And it's honestly a brilliant speech. The fact that Red Skull gave it is... Honestly, When Red Skull is talking that much sense, fucking Hail Hydra all the way. Fucking Hail Hydra. I'm all for it, you know? If they want to depict reason and logic as being a Nazi viewpoint, then fuck it, I'll embrace it. No fucking Nazi, but it's... And having Captain America, like, the entire message that is sending is that anyone who is proud to be an American and believes in American nationalism, that we need to take care of our own people first. Our own Americans, no matter what race. I'm not saying we need to take care of white people first, so don't even try to fucking misconstrue it as that. We need to take care of Americans first. Black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. Americans. And the idea of that, the idea that we need to look after our own people first before we go and dedicate all our resources to helping other people, to push that as a Nazi idea, to push the love of America as a Nazi idea, is fucking bullshit, and shame on you, Marvel, for even doing it. Now, I honestly don't think it's part of their mainstream continuity, especially since in the mainstream continuity, since their all different reboot, if it can be called a reboot, since their second Secret Wars event, it's a whole new multiverse, but still continuing on with the same continuity as the previous multiverse, which already collapsed and no longer even exists. So, but in the new mainstream Marvel universe, it's Steve Rogers isn't dead anymore like he was after Civil War, but he no longer has the super soldier serum in him. And he looks old, like the super soldier serum actually wore off. He's not even strong enough to hold his shield anymore, which is why the title was passed on to someone else, because Steve Rogers can't even be Captain America anymore without the super soldier serum. So, he looks old. Like, when you look at him in the comics, like, I currently subscribe to the new series of The Uncanny Avengers, where it follows the Avengers Unity team, which is a team comprised of humans, mutants, and Inhumans, to show that all three groups can work together. And Steve Rogers is the head of it. He's the person in charge of the Avengers Unity group. And he looks old. Grey hair, wrinkles. He doesn't have the super soldier serum anymore. So, the fact that this new Captain America Steve Rogers comic is depicting him as young and as still being Captain America, I honestly feel that it's probably an alternate universe, and that people are kind of just up in arms about it anyways, over nothing. I honestly don't think it's part of the mainstream Marvel, and I don't think that it's necessary to consider it as such. I honestly think that that's where it's going to go. I don't think the second issue has even come out yet, so we don't know. But that's my speculation. I think it's alternate universe. Hydra Cap isn't part of mainstream continuity. But fucking A, Marvel, you fucked up with this. You went way too fucking far. The symbol of America is a Nazi. Yeah, that's fucking brilliant. Anyway, that's about all I've got to rant about, so this has been Nobody of Consequence, once again ranting into the void, and you all have a good day.